And as chapter 18 picks up in Damaged, Volke explains that he got a similar feeling with the World Serpent Scale before he made the shield. And he has a similar feeling with these bones that he picked up out of the bottom drawer. And since they're in the bottom drawer in the super secret hiding stash that he doesn't want anybody to take, because, that isn't completely obvious that it's locked and that's where the stash should be.
Definitely not the first drawer I would also check.
The dude's a simp. He's all intelligent and stuff, but... So as he's feeling them, Volke is starting to crave magical power. And this is kind of where we see that arcane plague kind of playing a role in that. He's starting to lose a little bit of himself.
And that craving of power when you know you didn't crave power before has just got to be a scary feeling of, something inside of me is changing.
Especially with him knowing that he's got the plague and knowing that this is kind of like the path that he's going down. So they're leaving the Grand Laboratories. And they see Jevel, and Volke's probably like, please don't see me, please don't see me. And of course, Jevel recognizes Volke as being the guy that beat the crap out of his guild at the tournament, and being Zelfree's apprentice. I guess no longer apprentice. That brings Jevel into the whole like, well, I want to beat Zelfree and put his name on my link anyways. Jevel ends up actually being at the Grand Laboratories because he's getting an artifact that happens to be detecting those with the plague. So Volke is definitely like, we need to skedaddle right now. We need to get out of here so we can get as far away from him as possible. Volke decides he needs to figure out what these black bones are. So he needs to make a stop with his dad to figure out what the heck's going on with those. But before he does that, he does stop in and talk with Vethica, and she's very absorbed into her work. Her quarters are literally strewn about with anything and everything possibly to do with the Kepras or Grotto. Pretty much anything, any kind of information that she'd have on those topics. And Volke kind of goes in with a peace offering with the map of the Grotto Labyrinth. And she starts to explain her descent into the plague.
She talks a little bit about how she infected her Eldrin and that she still even struggles with some of the negative thoughts that the plague brought out, and that one of the reasons that she does want to bond with the Kepra is because she's hoping that their magic will help kind of put her mindset back to where it originally was.
We were discussing back with Colosseum Arcanus with the time frame of how long they have as far as Arcanus go. It's not so much that they're permanently infected after 6 months, like if they have the plague, if they kill their Eldrin after 6 months, or don't kill their Eldrin after 6 months, it's that their morality and their emotions and their empathy is completely stripped away by that time, by that 6 month roll around, which is why any Arcanist that has had the plague after 6 months is essentially too far gone. And Vethica was right at that line there, because since she infected her own Eldrin, she thought that was a good idea. And Vethica tells Volke that he really should just rid himself of the plague and search for another nightmare. Because that's what Volke said she should do, essentially, is, well, why don't you just go get another Thunderbird? She's like, well, why don't you just kill your nightmare and go get another one? So Volke does steel himself to basically say that he will if he falls too far, and if it has the thoughts of trying to infect Luther as well. And with that, that concludes this week's episode. We want to thank everybody for listening, and to remind everybody that we do post a new episode every Wednesday morning around 11 Eastern, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific Standard. We do also have smaller chapter portions on YouTube as well. So if you can't sit down and watch the full 35 to 40 minute YouTube video, we do every day after the release, we do individual chapters, make it a little bit easier to digest. We are on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube as well, as mentioned. We do want to thank our editor, Dan Mackison, for including pictures and links to everything in here. He does quite a lot of work for us, and we do really appreciate what he does for us. If you want to reach out, you can send us an email at frithguildpod@gmail.com, or on Facebook, or pretty much any other social media platform. You can look us up at Frith Guild Podcast. And we do want to thank Frith Chronicles Wiki, as it is an amazing resource. We use it quite a lot when we're looking at our bestiary section. Just want to mention that a link to everything is down in the description section below for both podcasts and YouTube. Thanks all for listening. It's like going from Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask. You got your main storyline, and then you got your side quest